The night before Christmas Day, no one at Centerville Station slept a wink. No one tried either. Everyone worked to finish the last of the locomotive. Even at midnight, no one safely knew if it would be finished on time. Sonny and the professor screwed, so both wrenches and sheet metal got hot. In the middle of the night, when all the screws were in place, the steam pressure was tested. For 2 hours, they fired the worst they could. But the pressure didn't want to be high enough. The pointer on the meter behaved like a drooping flower stalk. It didn't reach up as high as needed.
More coal. More coal.
The coal is out. We've been firing crazy much. We only have a few logs left.
Sonny faded so it was visible throughout the soot. It was the first time in his entire life that the soot layers couldn't hide his emotions.
Disaster. Then all our work is in vain. We can just as easily blow up the whole locomotive into the air. But the professor then? You, who can think up almost anything. Don't you have anything to help?
Professor Case doubled his forehead 77-fold. He sighed heavily.
Oh no. I'm just an ordinary inventor, not a magician. And to invent something to fire with, you have to be a magician.
Susanna wiped a tear from the corner of her eye. On the tool table was a Christmas card with fir trees and a red cottage with lights in the windows. She looked at it and made a grimace. She lighted a match and let the flame licking the card. Now the incredible happened. As soon as the flame touched the card, it flared up with a bang, as if it had been soaked with gunpowder. It burned so violently that Samuel had to rush for the fire extinguisher and put out the fire. They looked at each other with big, surprised eyes.
Who could have guessed that? That Christmas cards were so easy to set on fire.
Can have its scientific explanation. Most Christmas cards are made to burn well. Has candles and torches and flammable Santa beards and bonfires and crackled rye cottages and glitter and lots of crap on the front. That kind of thing should burn.
They looked at each other again. Everyone was just thinking the same.
Out and collect Christmas cards. Collect as many as you can. Never mind that it's early and Christmas and people are sleeping. Wake them up. Most of them have read their Christmas cards by now and are surely happy to get rid of them. Out and collect. No one may return with less than at least 100 cards. Preferably 1,000.
They hurried away, tossed on scarves and hats and dived into the cold, starry winter night. Only one remained inside the workshop. It was the locomotive. It puffed thoughtfully to itself. It was eerily like an old uncle, who wished falling asleep with a snug in his mouth. The Christmas card collection exceeded expectations. The most people didn't even get angry when they woke up. They went kindly and picked up their Christmas cards instead, and donated them without fuss to the locomotive. But some complained and wanted paid. But they didn't have to pay more than a penny per card. Still, old Christmas cards can't be sold with any greater profit. When the first pale green streak of dawn snuck out to the east, everyone gathered in the workshop again. They all had sacks and all the sacks looked pretty stuffed out. Most cards had the professor gotten together. 1,555? They read some of the cards. They didn't have to read many, for it was almost the same things on every single one. Fun Christmas. Merry Christmas in every shed. Almonds in every porridge, soon every nut will have. The last lines was the most common. It was on every other card. At first they laughed, but soon they couldn't even grimace when they saw it. The Christmas cards really burned so it thundered underneath the boiler. And even before the sun had risen his red flint skull over the jagged forest edge, the steam pressure was at 200. That was enough to pull both Santa Claus and presents and a long line of wagons. And yet they had lots of Christmas cards left for the journey itself.
Shall we start now? Or is it too early?
We have one important thing to do before we get started. We must name the locomotive. And the name is already clear. I've figured that out, and I have painted it on the steam boiler and hung a curtain over.
Yes, then it's probably the best that you baptize as well. But we have to hurry. It would be disappointing if Santa had time to change and take a helicopter to South Bell instead.
Susanna put a ladder against the locomotive's chimney. In her hand she held a bottle of blueberry juice. Slowly she climbed up, stood on the top stick and looked over the workshop, raised the bottle and said in a loud voice,
I hereby name you the Puffer. May happiness and prosperity follow you in the tracks.
And then she slammed the bottle against the chimney, so the blueberry juice sprayed all over the workshop. Everyone cheered and clapped their hands. Sonny and the professor jumped into the cab. Sonny was the obvious train engineer. He pulled the signal string 3 times, the locomotive sounded 3 times with its lightest tune, the steam whistling around the wheels, and slowly drove the Puffer out on the railway yard, where it immediately switched to the narrow gauge track towards Santa's little cottage deep in the woods.